So let's get started here. This is almost basically like a chamber article in and of itself, almost, right? Like, I wonder if he had posted this to his Patreon, if this would have gotten received any differently. It probably wouldn't have been better, but we'll see. So Richard says, "Good morning, MHA players. I wanted to have a discussion with the community about the state of the game, specifically in regard to its content creators and what kind of content is, and more importantly, is not available for players. This is going to be a long one, so I'll include a TLDR at the end, as this will involve Tam Cardwell, Levi Lalonde, and Sam Tate. It's only fair I tag them to ensure they see this and chip in if they want to. Right now, I believe the top 3 creators for the game are Tamron Cardwell, Alliteration Gaming, and Ace Maneuvers. That's only because Andrew Holder has privatized his channel. There's an argument to be made for Unfun Stuff's podcast to be at the podium, but since the parties mentioned are a huge part of that podcast, I'll set it aside. Go Beyond Gaming, yeah, Andrew Holder would also be a contender, but that channel has been privatized and is functionally non-existent now. That's why I'm confident it's these 3, at least from an American's perspective. I'll be focusing this discussion on these 3 channels / creators for this reason. So these are the backbone of the content for the game, and they do an excellent job of producing high quality content. This is like the first thing I didn't understand. I saw people saying like, oh, well, he's basically just being really nice, but saying the content sucks. But like, I guess if he's just lying about us doing an excellent job of producing high quality content, which is true in my case because my brand is specifically low quality. My brand is specifically like shitty, bad meme edits, like scuffed meme editing. So, but Levi and Tam, they have great setups. They have, much more aesthetically pleasing stuff than I do. So both Tam and Alliteration Gaming are flush with gameplay footage, so we aren't hurting from that metric. I do, however, think we are hurting for content on most other fronts. This might sound hypocritical coming from the dude that runs a channel and a Patreon himself, but I'll be coming back to that one. Right now, if you try to find a profile on a character that isn't highly meta, your options are going to be pretty limited. And now I wonder if he means specifically a deck profile or just like a profile on the character in general, because typically when you do like an archetype profile in most games, you include like, you either talk about like all the different successful decks they've had, or you talk about like a specific deck list for a lot of games. Like there's 4 or 5 flex cards for the average Yu-Gi-Oh archetype, right? It's usually like your main archetype, your mini package, and then 5 flex cards. So as an example, I did a YouTube search for Denki Kaminari deck profile My Hero Academia CCG, which is fucked up that mine weren't first because I topped with it. Or Thomas, if Thomas has a deck profile out there after he won, those should be first. But it is what it is, right? Algorithm. So he took a screen grab of the top 3 hits. The first 2 are deck profiles, one of which is 5 months old. The other is from like the very beginning of the game. The third hit was gameplay footage for Denki on his channel from 6 months ago. That's Tamron Cardwell's gameplay footage with Denki. Realistically, there are probably search algorithm improvements you can make to the wording, or you can pick a more popular character. However, there are also worse searches you could do for less popular characters, so I think this is a good example of what I mean. At the moment, it feels like there are very few profiles for the game, which can be disheartening for a new player. If we flex the definition of deck profile a bit, Tamron Cardwell's deck doctors give you a pretty decent start point for a deck, so they could be included here. Their approach is very different from a deck profile, so this is a generous comparison. How do I ban this dude? There it is. Whoop. Later, bro. Alright, get the bots out of here. I need a moderator. Yeah, so here he's talking about deck profiles for less meta characters, and he mentions the deck doctors, which is probably the best way for people to say, hey, look, I really want to make this deck better, or I have this very specific character I want to make a deck for. And all it's doing is it's requiring you to just do the groundwork, you know, to make a rough draft of that deck. And then, you know, you can essentially support Tam and he will help you fix it up. And so I think that's about as good as you're gonna get. Like, that is better than a generic deck profile, but it requires investment from the viewer. So like, everyone's used to the free content that you get from social media, right? Like, you can watch Twitch for free, watch a YouTube video for free. And so this small, and I don't even know how much it is. I actually don't know how much the deck doctor, I think it's a Patreon tier you get, you know? So there is like the small paywall, but like, you get very detailed, very specific advice, which is better than just a generic deck profile, right? Especially for our game, because our characters have 3 symbols. They have 3 different colors you can go into compared to most games, right? Like, you know, if you make a commander deck, you have to include, you know, those colors of the commander. Or if you make like a DBS deck, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but leaders typically favor like one color. You can make multiple color decks, right? But they're sort of designed, you know, to pair with certain archetypes. So there is like no middle ground there, but at the same time, we're going to talk a little bit more about why it's that way in a minute. So when it comes to any kind of content outside of gameplay and decks, I think that's where the coverage gets much rougher, in my opinion, which is unfair to me. I make meme videos. I'm like the only person, so this is my bone to pick, and I'm like the least mad about this, because I'm doing the most content that is not gameplay and deck profiles, but my stuff is specifically low content, like low quality, right? Low Sleeve Scrub talking about the deck doctors, which I think is actually better, because seeing the draft gives him an idea of how the player plays and the mindset they have, rather than just throwing net decks out there. Right, it's much more detailed, but it's not easily accessible. If you're not already a fan of Tamron Cardwell, or you don't want to necessarily sit in a deck doctor queue and be a patron, you get way less than you would from another game, right? Like, there is not just all these free deck profiles. So it is better, but it's not easily accessible. So that's the caveat. So like, when it comes to things outside gameplay and decks, it is much rougher, because I do very little content overall. Most of us do. Like, the reason gameplay is cranked out is because you're already playing the game. We're just recording it and then uploading it with no editing. And so anything that requires editing or like coordination between 2 people is tough. Like, setting up a Stutter Stinker video takes me like a week of finding a person who isn't familiar with Standard or old universes, is familiar with My Hero a little bit. I'm trying to look for people who would be down to do it, who have never played universes, but like, nobody cares for the niche card game when they're already like a small YouTuber. So but I'm trying to do, see, that's what I want. I want not gameplay, I want not deck profiles. But a lot of that stuff in other card games is like based on lore, or it's just like a funny deck profile. It's like hidden behind the veneer of a deck profile. If you guys ever watch Magic to Noah, he has really funny videos that aren't really deck profiles, but they're listed as such. It's like, here's a green deck with 78 lands or whatever, you know. Haven't played see, that's the thing, we'd have to narrow down which sets you've played from Standard. Like, we'd have to find, and like myself, when it comes to Stutter Stinker, I have to get help from Tim Keefe and Kevin Broberg and people who played like before me, because a lot of those cards I have to pull from were like pre when I played, right? So, you know, to find like real stinkers in this game can be pretty tough too, especially if you don't want to make it super obvious. But so like, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for stuff that's not gameplay, stuff that's not deck profiles, but we don't have the ability to make lore videos because that's just My Hero Academia lore. We don't have access to like all the things around the game, like Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh, they have like all these little stories within stories in the game, and ours is just My Hero story. Did you used to post sick combos on YouTube? Yes, the 1 minute maneuvers was something I thought I would crank out more, but, and I'll talk about that. Actually, this is a good time to talk about because he's going to bring me up. So like the 1 minute maneuvers videos, my issue with it is I don't know what qualifies as a cool combo and what qualifies as really fucking obvious. And that is something that plagues me at every like level of this game. That is something that makes me like, for example, I'll ask you guys in the chat. Does Quick Draw, playing Quick Draw in Ochako 2, count as a cool combo by itself? Like, what's the actual combo to it? You stack a 3 on top of your opponent's deck. They now either have to waste a card from their hand to get the 3 off the top, or they have to take damage from your attack, allowing you to draw a card and enable all your Ochako bullshit. Is that good enough to be a 1 minute maneuver? You know, that's like a 1 minute tip. Like, play Quick Draw in your deck, right? And then it comes down to, like, I have I don't know if I actually did this video, but you have, like, Heroic Clash, which says after it resolves, remove it from the game, draw 2 cards. But you have Award the Victor, which says after your attack deals damage, put it on top of your deck, right? So, like, is that a cool enough combo to do a 1 minute video on explaining, like, how it works? So, like, there's a lot of little stuff that, for me, looks really basic, and I'm like, oh, it would be a waste of time, because to do a 1 minute maneuver actually takes me about half an hour if I get it right the first time. You know, to get the visuals correct, and it's all so low quality. But, like, if I wanted to do, like, a really fancy, like, highly edited one where cards phase in and you can actually read stuff and there's text, that would take, like, probably a full hour to 2 hours, depending on how well I do it, how well my computer performs. Doing those long video edits take a long time because I can only edit videos for like an hour at a time. If I edit like the online Nats video, if I edit that for more than an hour, my computer slows down. I have to restart it, and I lose footage doing that, which is why I don't have the in-person Nats video. I went through Twitch, I recorded the stuff I wanted to record off that feed, which is already really jank. I'm getting like a secondary recording of a feed, and then I lose the footage by editing for too long. You know, that's how long it takes. So, like, what kid are you talking? I'm sorry, I just read Murder Cleese. What are you talking about? I don't even know what kid is talking. So, like, it's the kind of thing where to do like a 1 minute maneuver takes a significant amount of time considering how much content is actually produced. And then on top of that, it's like, he's not complaining about content creators. This is what I don't get. People are reading this and they're seeing it as negative. He's trying to figure out the same thing other content creators are trying to figure out. I don't see it that way. I don't see him as complaining. It's weird. So, like, he's asking why is our game different. He's trying to learn about our game. That's all he's trying to do. His post is on Facebook. It's in the main My Hero Academia group, the My Hero Academia collectible card game discussion group. It's Richard Cruz. He posted. He's the Chamber TCG. He posted it, and he's just trying to figure out why people don't do deck profiles and why they don't do other types of content. And so, but so, like, as far as outside gameplay and decks, it's just the time investment it takes. And then as a content creator, you're like, who's going to actually use this? Who's going to actually use this information? Like, when I did the 1 minute maneuver about adding the momentum from your card pool with wealthy aspirations, the only feedback I got was, oh, I already do this. This is cool. And it's like, okay, well, I just made a stupid video for people who already know what I'm fucking talking about. And, like, I don't have the exposure to get it out to like new people who might learn something from it specifically. And I guess it's cool that it exists, but like as far as realistic, practical applications of content, like what are you actually producing? Like what am I spending my life actually doing, right? Like how much time did I put into something for what actual return? Does it make me happy to do it? Sort of. Does it make me happy as soon as I'm done doing it? No. You know, like do I regret making those videos? Not really. Do I regret spending as much time as I have on a bunch of videos? A lot of times, yes. And that's not to mention how many videos you guys never see that every YouTuber that exists throws out, you know? So where do we leave off? Oh yeah, the when it comes to any kind of content outside of gameplay and decks, I think that's where the coverage gets much rougher. As far as I'm aware, there's very little coverage for things like recommended sideboard cards because that doesn't exist. Rogue decks worth playing in the meta, those are just personal. That goes back to like your casual deck that you want Tam to fix up. Guides to playing against meta decks, there's no such thing really. There's so little advice I can give you based on generic gameplay. Like our generic mechanics just don't apply. Like I can say play high attacks against this deck, and then it's like, well, my high attacks in my deck are actually the worst attacks. You know, the high attacks in this deck are like that's just, I don't know. It doesn't, people play different lists, so. Guides to play against meta decks or just anything else on that front, it's pretty thin. Ace Maneuvers and Unfun Stuff do great podcasts as live streams, and these topics do get covered intermittently on those streams. Sam's podcast in particular is a total smorgasbord of many of the best players and minds in the game, which is 100% true. You guys should watch anything that involves like a winner of a tournament, pretty much. That's always where I get to plumb the best information from people. However, whether you prefer Unfun Stuff or Ace Maneuvers, spoiler, I'm sponsored by Unfun Stuff, so it should be kind of the same. So I have to sit through a 2 to 3 hour stream instead of a 10-minute video for that information. That's the problem. This is like where the issue is. That would never be a 10-minute video, and anyone who makes a 10-minute video would be making fraudulent content based on this. Like, we don't have any, like, once we have a million people playing this game and things get more solved, not only would people start to hate this fucking game, but then you could do that content, you know? You could make that content once we have enough information and enough minds to shape a metagame that is simple enough. I do think it's possible. I just don't think that we have the information in the community for it. Like, we just don't have the size for it. No matter how much you tell people Kirishima 2 is the best deck, it's A, probably not going to win the fucking tournament, and B, you're still going to get people playing their favorite character in Top Guts. You know, that's great if you want the fine detail, but incredibly rough if you don't have that kind of time. So, you know, no one has, like, if you want a 10-minute video on what cards to sideboard, and you want, like, an actual explanation for when and where and how to sideboard them, I can guarantee you that, A, that information will not be complete. It might not even be correct, you know, considering, like, who the content creators are. Like, no offense to Levi, Tam, Andrew, or myself, all good players, all have put up some results somewhere, you know, top cuts players, but we're far from experts, you know. We all disagree amongst just each other on what cards to play and when to sideboard stuff. When, I forget who it was, there's another content creator who I was talking to who was like, I made a video about sideboarding, right? And what was the feedback they got? Oh, I already played that in my main board, or that card is worthless, you know? And so you don't necessarily have to take all feedback to heart, but when that's like 100% of your feedback, when, you know, it completely drowns out like the one, because you're going to get like 10 comments at most, and maybe 2 of them are going to be like, unless you're Tam, I guess. I don't look at all the different contents or comments on all the videos, but he's mostly a live streamer, so I don't expect him to have like a ton of YouTube traction. But like, if you make that video and like a 10% of your feedback is, hey, this helped me, but the rest of it is, oh, that shit's worthless. Like, you're not going to make that content anymore, you know? And that's not to say the people in the comments are wrong or whatever. It's just to show that there's no hive mind. There's no consensus on what is good information. In the early days of commentary, we all did informative commentary. We did like expositional commentary to like explain every nook and cranny of a card to people to try and prove that we know what we're talking about. And at the same time, being, I'll say, heavy-handed with it, being like very confident, I guess is another way to put it, like with your opinions, is tough to do because there's no general consensus on what the best anything is most of the time. So, those 2-hour videos give you so much info that is critical to success. Half the reason I did so well at Dallas was due to that, watching that informative content. Yeah, so like, if you don't have 2 hours to put into that stuff, then what are you really going to get from it, right? Like, within that 2-hour long video exists a 10-minute video, but that 10-minute video is not the whole story. It is just a piece of that information. If you take just a piece of that information, if you only know a piece of a combo, you're going to fuck up the combo. If you have to play setup strike before you play home run comet in this deck, then you're going to not know to play one of those cards first. So, you know, it's posted on the Facebook. It's MHA discussion group. It's got 77 comments. I don't know how hard it is to find. Hey, Alliteration Gaming, happy birthday, by the way, bud. I don't know if it's still your birthday. I just woke up recently. I don't know what day it is, but happy birthday again. I've been getting you a lot better about length, but it is very cool that my 50-minute deck profiles on C-tier characters used to get hella views. Yeah, in the very beginning, this is my biggest regret, is in the very beginning, if you hit the ground running and just made any kind of deck profile, you could get tons of views. It's been exactly 40. It is exactly midnight there, yeah. But so, well, happy belated. But yeah, so like I did the first video I did, which was like the prototype to the 1-minute maneuvers, was the infinite deadlock threat, right? And this is something else that this is related to something else I'll talk about at the end. But so the infinite deadlock video actually got 1,000 views, and I think my first tier list got 1,000 views, and that was just based on the initial hype of new game. That was not based on quality of content. That wasn't based on people finding information from it or sharing it around. It was based on the game is brand new. And if I had hit the ground running and done more stuff then, and you know, at the time the plan was that my friend Brett Hillman, who some of you may know and some of you might have heard his voice in my very first tier list video, he was gonna kind of do deck profiles and stuff like that a lot, but you know, life gets in the way. He's way busier than even I am, and it is my channel, so it was like up to me to do it. So I'm not a deck profile guy. My deck profiles are the worst deck profiles by far. You know, the content that I want to see is the content I make, which is like funny meme videos, you know. So yeah, stain one, you know, if you like it's worthwhile at the very beginning, like when the characters first come out, when the sets first come out, and you only have so much time to do that before it doesn't, you know, I don't know, before it stops being like super relevant. Also, right now it seems really bad because the game's hype has petered out, right? Like we're into set 3. We had nationals. People don't care about competition anymore because they're not going to Worlds. And until an event after Worlds is announced, people aren't going to care about having a good deck profile anyways. So, you know, like the tier lists that we put out are always at the beginning because that's when the hype is. But it's also when we don't know fucking shit about the game. And it's like the least informative content you can get. And yet it's the most watched content, right? So like every tier list that I've seen has been completely fraudulent you know, in the sense that we haven't had the cards in front of us 90% of the time, but that's when you need to put the video out. So, like, do you want good content, or do you want content for clicks, or do you want content that you like, or do you want content that some random person that hasn't ever watched one of your videos is looking for, right? That's why my first set 3 Eraser profile did so well. It was like a first draft a day after the set came out that won a small event during the game at a super hype period. Sometimes stars just align like that. Yeah, it's I think I got 100 views on the Ochako 2 deck profile, and it's only because I put that it got first place in the title, right? So I actually messaged Richard. We talked a little bit about this post, and I was like, look, man, that Ochako 2 profile, super fraudulent. It's a disingenuous deck profile because it you know, Andrew Holder talks in the comments. I'll get to the comments. We only got one more paragraph to go. But he talks about this in the comments where it's like, I went to a locals. I played 2 games. I ID'd the final round and I ended up in first place, and then we decided to cut it there. Like, that deck won 2 games, guys. But I get to put in the title I got first place and that I got these 4 boxes because that's how it ended up. I ended up splitting the boxes with Brett Hillman, actually, who showed up for his first event in a year. Speak of the devil. You know, it's been so long since he's had time to play, and he played Momo 1, which I won the game we played casually, but he hasn't played in a year. So we both were like 2-1. We just ID'd. Like, we're going to case, you know, we're going to split the case anyway. We're going to rare draft to make sure everyone in our community gets what they're going to get. But the deck profile I can't put got first placed in isn't going to get any views. So it's just, you know, it just is what it is. So let's power through this last paragraph, and then we'll talk more about like the responses to it. So he says, where I, the chamber, fits into all this is that I too am not doing enough to address this perceived issue. Wow. There's the nut up or shut up part. He literally addresses that. If you read the actual post, he actually addresses that. So right now I predominantly write about the game and at least occasionally try to plug these holes. My videos are mostly deck profiles, and frankly, they're rough ones at that. I've been shooting with a C922 cam. He talks about the quality, which that's like a content creator thing. I think most people don't actually give a shit. So I'm just going to skip over all the camera stuff because he's like, I want to get a good camera and then capture this and blah, blah, blah. High quality, etc., etc. I'm using a fucking Logitech C920 myself, I think. Like, it is what it is. But he's a big fan of the adage, be the change you want to see in the world, so I hope I can do that. To be clear, this paragraph was not intended to sell myself as some kind of competitor to the 3 already mentioned. I just want to make it clear that the hypocrisy of a content creator observing that content is lacking is not lost on me. That brings this post to a close. I know I've said a lot, but if you made it this far, I'd really love to hear what you think. So here's where people get fucked up. They don't read the TLDR. They don't encapsulate it into like a one cell thing. He probably could have made this like one paragraph and gotten things through a lot more clear, but it says, TLDR, are you happy with the content made by MHA's content creators? Is there something missing you would like to see more of? This is something we all ask everybody. We ask everybody every chance we get, what do you want to see? People are willing to fill that niche. You know, now that Andrew's privatized his channel, I imagine like a bunch of us are gonna all post Top Cuts deck profiles, but no one wants to like infringe on someone else's niche. You know, I didn't want to do viewer games on TTS because I didn't want to just be copying Cameron Cardwell, but at the same time, I don't have idle content. So like streaming for 4+ hours, you know, streaming is basically busking, guys. It's basically sitting here and trying to perform something for passerbys. It's trying to catch your attention for support, you know what I mean? It's for you to show up and leave a $5 tip. And so if you don't have content that you can do for hours, if I don't have something like this where I can plan ahead and say I'm going to talk about this, you know, it's very difficult. One of the reasons I stream like once a week is because it's just, what do I construct? What kind of content can I put together to show on my channel? Because I can't sit here and play games with people. I don't have that kind of community yet, and it would help me build that community if I had that. So, you know, if you guys haven't already and you want to play viewer games, if you want to play TTS games with me, please feel free to join my Discord. There's a channel called Batter Up. You can post in there, whatever. Here's the link to join it. You know, I'd love to have that idle content, but, you know, if it comes to making content right now, it takes me hours and hours and hours to provide something that people never asked for, or I have to figure out something I can do on stream for at least like 2 hours, you know, to realistically feel like I streamed. So, you know, that's just kind of how it is. As far as content I would like to see more of, I want to see more of the content that I make. But at the same time, I'm deathly afraid someone else is going to make meme edit videos, because they'll probably do a much better job than me. They probably have like actual training in video editing, and like I have terrible sound editing and things like that. So like it might just completely squash whatever niche I have. So, you know, it's kind of a double-edged sword. Let me catch up on the chat here real quick. If the content is great, quality isn't super relevant. Yeah, exactly. No one gives a shit about... I probably wouldn't even need to have a face cam, realistically. It just seems weird. Like, everyone, like, the same reason I wore the jacket, the suit jacket in Dallas. You just don't want to stick out. You just don't want to look like you're lacking. You know, you want to look like a streamer, you know? It's really fucked up. Brian from Stage Zero gave me a really sick orange card, blue card layout. He helped me out a lot, gave me like a sick design, and I haven't fucking used it yet, which is really sad. He helped me make it look way better, because if you guys remember my first streams, my aesthetics were complete ass. But I never really worried about it, because I know that what people need to hear is just my thoughts, not necessarily. Like, I imagine most people just listen in the background. They don't even really watch. Why did Andrew privatize? He hates Jasco games. Jasco's handled shit super poorly, and he doesn't want to give them free advertisement. So, that's his personal stance. Down to play games on TTS with meme decks. I'm always down, you know. If you guys want to play, I got space open in the Discord. The simplest content, in my opinion, is viewer games. The next step could be going over the games. Yeah, that's the content, right? And like Tam was the first one, and he put in the time and the work to be there way back when there was even less of a carrot, right? And so he got to inherit that first wave. It was very smart. And like, it's really tough to get that traction. I don't have a huge battery for social interaction. You know, one of the reasons I don't stream too often is because, like, personality-wise, I feel like people would get tired of me really fast. Being nice to people, being, like, pleasant, being polite, it's not something I'm super good at. Like, I don't want to put myself out there and make a faux pas that, you know, turns the community against me is a really shitty way to put it. I don't think that's really what I'm looking for, but, like, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't want to be a shitty personality in public. And so it's not always possible, right? Like, you know, well, that's the reason I wasn't picked as the MVP, man. Like, I would never expect to be the MVP for that reason. The duality of content you want to make versus content that has to be made is a really hard spot creators for this game are in right now. I kind of agree with that, but at the same time, I reject that, right? Like, my channel is specifically way smaller because I only make content that I really want to for the most part. And I can illustrate that really, really easily. Let me bring up my channel. Because I'm at like 200 subscribers. I know Levi has like over 500. I don't know exact numbers. Feel free to plug your channel, by the way, Levi. Fellow Unfun Stuff sponsored content creator. You can plug your channel in my chat. Here we go. Let me look at my videos. So, like, I post all my past streams for the most part unedited. I did the pitch a deck live. That was my version of deck profiles. I wanted other people's deck profiles. I thought it was a genius idea, but I got like 4 people who were able to be interested and coordinate with me. Like 4 or 5 people wanted to do it. Only like 3 or 4 actually were able to coordinate. I fucked up with with Disaster Dan, which I feel super shitty about, but I like the time zone difference fucked me really bad, and we didn't get to do it. You know, I got 260 views on the national championships because it's the national championships. That's by far, I think, my highest viewed meme video. So that was surprising. I was really happy with that. Yeah, the first pitch a deck got a lot because people thought it was actually going to be a meta deck, and then you can see they drop off really hard. Or no, yeah, this was the first one that was done on stream, and then Crossfade came in afterwards. But yeah, my experience at the Pro Hero National is a 4-hour video, so no one's clicking on that. That's just how it is. That's a stream upload. I don't expect people to watch those. And so I have orange card, blue card, which is the majority of my content now. I made a quick how to get started video just to plug my own stuff. But it's like Stutter Stinker got 35 views because it's attached to a stream highlight. So like to edit these videos, to make them more digestible, would take me like about an hour to 2 hours of at least computer use. Because my computer can't do anything else while it's processing videos, or else it completely shits the bed. And like, I'm not cracking 200, 300, 400 views, right? Like, none of this stuff is getting me into the algorithm. The majority of people in the game aren't really watching this stuff. So I just make content that I want to make because there is no other benefit other than my personal enjoyment, you know? I gotta say it, guys. I don't care about the click numbers. I don't. The 263 doesn't make me happy compared to the 27. You know, I don't think anyone's monetizing on YouTube. Maybe Tam is because he's got a high sub count, and I know he's gotten like a little bit of traction outside with like Channel Fireball type stuff. But I don't know where that's going. I don't know if that's still continuing. So like, this is all just content I want to do. And I'll tell you right now, the main thing that I do content for is comments. This is all I care about. I just want comments from people. It's kind of the same thing as getting clicks. It's basically the same metric almost. But that's all I care about. It's just comments from people telling me what they liked from the video, what I should do more of, what I should improve on. That's it. That's the only reason to do content. You know, I don't feel like I have to make any content because I don't make any money. As soon as this became like a money-making endeavor, immediately I would have to make content. Immediately there's content I would have to make, right? Let's look at Levi's channel. Levi's got almost 1,000. Hey, come on, guys. We can get Levi to 1,000, right? If you're watching this on YouTube and you haven't subscribed, go here. I'm going to unsubscribe and resubscribe. Go subscribe to Alliteration Gaming if you're not. He's so close to 1,000. How the fuck is he not at 1,000? Okay. This can be fixed. We're going to do this. We're going to... Hold on now. Hold on. Whoop, exposing the rest of my shit. No, I want that. Let's do it like this. I don't want to actually leave anything on Facebook. Pennies of ad revenue. Yeah, once you hit 1,000, that's why I think Tam might technically be monetized, but I don't know if he's actually like making money from the Facebook or from the YouTube. All right, guys, we're gonna Uh, There we go. Where is... I don't know where that got saved. I gotta search my computer. Yeah, man, no problem. I was surprised you were that close or not over 1,000. You know, but like for me, subscriber count's not the biggest deal. Getting views is not a big deal. It's all about comments for me. It's about engagement. The only reason I started live streaming is specifically to talk to people in chat the way I've been doing tonight. It's probably detrimental when I should be. Yeah, that's why you had to make a video that says, hey, when I hit 1,000, I'll do an Ask Me Anything stream or something. To promote hitting 1,000, but so yeah, I was gonna do 100. That's how low my bar is set. I was just gonna do 100, but like it, you know, that kind of stuff comes and goes because you get kind of numb to it, right? Yeah, you hit 500 during like the what I called the convention rush, where most people. The convention rush was where most people who were going to qualify for Worlds qualified for Worlds pretty much. Yeah, so I never thought I'd even hit 100. I thought I'd be like hard stuck at 60, and I think only because I did commentary did I break 100. But so, to summarize, I don't think he's critiquing or... I don't think he's really like judging any of the content. I don't think he said anything bad about any content that is produced. I don't think he said any of the content was lacking itself. I think Richard just said that there should be more content, which is fair. And he was surprised at the style of content, which is fair. However, I think the comments does a pretty good job of addressing these issues. And first up, I'm going to shout out Willie T, who's planning on stepping into the scene himself during the new year. And funny enough, some of the things Richard addresses are things he wants to cover. So I'm excited to see that. I'm excited to see more meme deck profile videos. They're probably not going to be content for me. You know, it's just how it is. Like, most content creators don't watch other content because the other content creators are either making content that they feel like they have to make, which is almost always for general casual player base, or it's for people who are brand new. So it's not for other content creators, which I try to make content personally. I actually try to make content for established players. Like, that's part of why my channel doesn't grow, is I don't have much new player friendly content, and the stuff I do make, it feels wildly fraudulent. It feels very disingenuous to say, here's just some stuff about the game. I hope it's stuff you understand. Keenan said, we've got a lot of old player interviews floating around. Let's talk to the new players. It's bullshit. I talk to new players, and damn deal won't let me into the New Heads Discord, and they turn me down. New Heads won't talk to me. They're afraid to be on stream. They feel uninformed. Jesse Cervini just plugs his own channel because I guess you can. I don't hate it, I guess. So I actually talked with Richard a ton. Our convos are what prompted this post, and yeah, he's not judging anyone at all, more so just trying to get a broad opinion of why things are the way they are. Yeah, exactly. I heard from like multiple people that they're like, oh, he's just shitting on you, but in a nice way, and I didn't get that. I really didn't get that. I talked to Richard a ton as well, and we talked about content creators and like other spaces, and you know, I talked about, like, I want more Magic than Noah style videos. I want to do that, but I'm not funny enough to do it. So, Aaron Lindo, I don't know who this is. I don't know if we've met. I feel really bad if we've met now. But Aaron Lindo, I think, does a pretty good job of summarizing it from like a neutral space. With the player base and game exposure being as small as it is, it's hard to expect every aspect of content will be covered at a high level. The few platforms that do it have their specialties, i.e., you know, the niche that we talked about, and they do what they enjoy doing. They do what they enjoy doing. That is 100% true for me. I never make content that I feel like I have to make. I just don't do it. It's not worth it, and my channel's not big enough, and I'm not going to grow doing it. I'm just not going to grow doing it. I'm only going to grow by doing more content. Strictly speaking, algorithm-wise, volume, and not just like length of videos, but like volume is slightly, at least slightly more important than quality, in my opinion. Quantity is just a little bit better than quality. If I put out a new video every day, I think it would do much better than putting out one great video a week. So I think that's just kind of how it goes. Obviously, you want to do both. You want to do a lot of stuff really well, but at the moment, to be inspired, I have to do stuff that I want to do. How much do you think Universes is limited by a lack of a game client outside of TTS? That's such a mixed question. Levi says, I don't think an online client is super important to a game's growth, but UVS is so damn hard to learn and play that I think a client would go a long way towards reach of the game. I think so too. I think a lot of people hate digital clients because they think it means abandoning paper, and they have like this huge... People are like beholden to paper card games and stuff, and I get it. You want to feel the cards. There's like a appeal to it, but I don't think a digital client's ever bad, but I don't think it's ever necessary. Like DBS never needed a digital client. They didn't get one for like, what, 5-6 years? People are talking about how the game's going to die and Bandai's going to kneecap it, and they just came out with a fucking digital client. Like, I don't get it. People are upset at some new card game that announced a digital client too. It's like in its infancy, and people are like, oh, you can't do this so early, it'll kill the game. I don't get that. But I don't know what it would take to code all the response windows. I believe it's possible. It's just not feasible. It's not practical. The few platforms that do it have their specialties. They enjoy what they do what they enjoy doing, but you have to remember there isn't much value in it for them outside of that because they want to. That's pretty much where I'm at. If you feel like you have to make certain content, I think that sucks. Especially if you're not getting paid to do it. You should get paid to do anything you don't want to do. That's my life philosophy. If I don't want to do something, the only reason I'm going to do it is because you're paying me, and now I want to do it. You have now reversed that relationship, right? Because now I do it because I want to get paid, so I now want to do it. But that's also why my channel's the smallest, so, it comes with its own territory. You don't get paid to make content when your channel has 2K subs. There's a lot of room for growth in MHA content. That's because there's a lot of room for the game itself to grow. The company has a lot of flaws and the audience is small. The content I've seen I felt was pretty solid, all things considered, for a game of the size. And I think that's kind of what Richard was talking about. Like, he thinks the content is solid. It's just, it needs to be like more open-ended. So when it comes down to it, like, if I make a video that I don't like, or if I make content that I'm not a fan of, it's going to be bad anyways. So I'm not going to have passion put into it. So it's super weird. Like, YouTubers make tons of videos they don't want or they don't care about. They don't have to make a lot of them, but they make like certain archetype deck profiles because they just need content. They just need views and clicks and ad revenue and stuff like that. And without that carrot, you're not going to get this filler content. Like, it sounds like to me like Richard's looking for like filler content, which is the weirdest part, but that's because of my personal philosophy. I'm not looking for deck profiles for Mina Ashido 2 or when or how to side Mina Ashido 2. Spoiler, you don't. That character sucks. The character is still not worthwhile, even after set 3, so... Deck doctors are the closest thing you're going to get, though. Because someone can say, hey, I will make it worth your time to help me with this off-meta or this very specific deck. So, and again, it's just the kind of thing where it's like, if you want more people doing that, you're going to have to deal with the backlash of, like, biting off someone else's niche. Like, I know Tam would be excited if people could be successful doing it alongside him, but there's definitely going to be, like, the community who thinks you're just trying to, like, dip your toe into his pool, you know? And realistically, like, trying to stream alongside him doesn't work, right? Like, he just has the biggest audience. He has the lion's share of the audience, so trying to work around that is also tough. Yeah, Travis A. Millennium also talks about how, I guess that's Millennium Games and Hobbies, actually. That's kind of wild. He talks about the biggest challenge for content creators in this game, aside from the immense time investment versus the payout, is the game itself. The game's a beautiful, elegant disaster. The game is far from on rails. The entirety of the game is if-then. The lines are endless. The choices are endless. Everything's determined based on the situation in that moment. Yeah, it's exhausting, right? Like, and like this is a really good point too, where I was talking earlier about how there's no guaranteed route. There's no, like, when I listen to other people talk about card games, I get so offended by them saying, you play this on turn 4 and you win. You counter this one spell and you win. You just drop this and you win. I hate that shit. And I know they don't mean it literally true in every scenario, but it is mostly true, and people talk that way in other games for a reason. When people have started to talk that way about this game, I can't stand it. But the other flip side is people will talk about, like, oh, well, what if this, and this niche thing happens, you don't win here, and like you just get into like these back and forth endless wars of different interactions, and you just don't have that in other games. You know, in Yu-Gi-Oh! Did they Ash Blossom? No, I fucking win. Like, it's you know, it's how it goes a lot of the times, and those games are cool when they break from the norm and you have those interactions. Our game is cool as long as there's any level of interaction. Which is why turn 2 kills should be impossible. I'm just going to slip that in there. 0 turn 2 kills for 2023. That should be the design goal. No one should ever die on turn 2 because they didn't get a turn 2 attack. But that's a different video. But yeah, so like doing the things that Richard's talking about, like sideboarding plans, that shit blows my mind. I watch videos on Magic, even though I don't play it pretty much at all right now, where people are like, here's the deck profile, this is when you side this card. People are like, our win percentage goes from 30% to 70% by siding in a single fucking copy of a single fucking card. And that shit just blows my mind that you can get that much traction in other card games. Because I've been playing Universes for so long and I stopped playing Magic and I didn't play competitively really ever, you know? So, like, we just don't have that. There is no silver bullet. You do not play training weights and beat Ochako 1. You just don't do it. Like, training weights doesn't fucking beat Asui, especially since when the card came out, the rules were different and Irrefutable could seal it. Now Irrefutable can't actually seal it, and it still doesn't fucking beat those characters. It slows them down like a turn at most, at best. So like, that's just not the tempo swing it is in other card games. Taking a whole turn off in most games is like, that's you know, a huge portion of your activity. In our game, it's like, okay, I'm just gonna build and hold more blocks now. Like, our game is great because of that. It also makes it hard to bring in new players because of it. Like, I'm going to spoil something for a lot of people who are going to see this, which is only like 100 of you at most. The average card gamer does not want to get good at the game. The average card gamer wants you to tell them, play these cards to win, and the fun for them is drawing those cards and actively resolving them. The fun for them is not finding some behind-the-scenes crazy line. The fun for them is looking at a card that sparks joy and getting to do that card's effects a lot of the time. That's just the truth, you know? The majority of games don't have a ton of back and forth interaction because of that. Especially when they're very early on, they want players to play their cards. They don't want control decks. They don't want negation effects. They don't want hampering effects because the casual player base doesn't want to fucking deal with them. They want to say, oh, you played your big dude, I lose, cool. But if I play my big dude, I win. Great. Like, that's the truth. The average card gamer does not want to get deep into a card game. They want to buy a deck that does a thing that they like and reliably do that thing. And they want it to do that thing pretty consistently. And as I don't know if you guys watch a lot of competitive play, but you can't call the kill stream a turn before it happens in our game. You can know exactly how someone's going to kill someone in Magic the Gathering like 4 turns before they even draw the card that kills them, because that's what their deck does. That's how their deck wins, you know? So, and that's reductionist. It's not true of like every format for Magic. That's not true of every meta game for Magic, but or any other card game. But that's why you see the designs that you see from all these other games. I remember the first time I blocked 4 things in one turn, my opponent went, why is this allowed in this game? Yeah, people just want to play their cards. If you go back and watch me talk about set 1, man, I'm so salty. The card design is so far from what I like. Like, if you watch me play Standard versus me play MHA, I am polar opposites, boy. I'm fucking play 7 attacks, MHA, buff them all, danky down all your best shit, play 9 cards in one turn and blow you out. In Standard, I'm like, I'm going to build these 2 cards that delete attacks and pass. And I'm going to delete attacks and block things until, I don't know, we all have a face down stage or something. Like, it's a totally different game. And going into MHA, they specifically designed games to end. Flesh and Blood did this too. And I think that they actually, knowingly or unknowingly, copied a lot of design from Flesh and Blood, where like offense just wins a little bit more. You just get rewarded for attacking more than you do from defending. And that's changed a lot as we've gone, but you still see like big long strings from basically every deck. There's only like 1 poke deck in the format, and it's not because Mineta 2 is good, it's because Kyle Wright refuses to play something other than fucking Mineta 2. Like, he just will play a water 5-hander that will sit there and stare at you until you go to deadlock. I go back and watch myself play Ochako and I'm like, this is cringe. I didn't know how to play the game at all. I just put orange cards into the pool until all my gray cards were tapped. However, Levi, that was correct in set 1. In set 1, that was how you played the game, and you cannot convince me otherwise. I still do that at my locals. I play Ingenium against Brandon Jones, and he's playing Asui on water, and I'm like, this is the worst matchup of all time. I'm going to play 3 attacks. I'm going to build 3 foundations. I'm going to hold 0 cards, and hopefully you don't kill me, because that's what it takes to beat Asui as Ingenium. So, like, that was how... In this game, they've preserved offensive integrity so much that, like, it doesn't look like the same game to me a lot of the times. But it's to make sure that people get to play their cards, that people get rewarded for offense for making the game state progress. And I can't really blame them for that. It's a very contemporary design choice. It's hard to balance control. It's really hard. We don't really have a control. I still think maybe Eraserhead counts. Actually, Eraserhead counts. Like Void specifically, Void and Death Eraserhead count. But we don't, or no, yeah, well, pretty much just Eraserhead on all three symbols counts as a control deck. Mineta kinda does. Water decks kinda do. They have control, a lot of control elements to them. And I'd say Chaos. Like Chaos, Water, and Eraserhead can kind of count as control decks, but they still do a lot of their work on offense. It's aggro control a lot of the time. Like how you win is by attacking and using Irrefutable or seizing the advantage to flip defensive pieces, right? To seal defense. Electric Jolt typically gets rid of a defensive piece to close out a game, so it's aggro control in this game a lot. Yeah, but to block 4 things on Chaos in set 1, you had to destroy 4 foundations with Release, Levi. Yeah. Yeah, I think that there's a big difference between wall and control. Momo is a wall deck. Eraserhead is a wall control deck. And then, like, anything that's playing Irrefutable is probably an aggro control. Release should be banned? That's crazy. Release should have been a 1/4, but it shouldn't be banned. At least not with the current format. You could have maybe banned it back then, but not in the current format. Yeah, the strongest part about him is -2 speed, which if you here's an interesting take and we'll get back to the comments in just a second because we're about to get to my comment and some really good ones, but so like -2 speed, and if you think about completely blocking an attack as counter spelling the damage, right? You think of a counter spell as like a negation, so you think of cancel its effects as like counter spell. But in reality, counterspelling in this game is completely blocking cards. Counterspelling most of the time means blocking and actually taking no damage. So if you think of the -2 speed and then you get to completely block as a counterspell, that becomes control-ish, right? And as a wall deck, if all you're doing is just blocking, then it's really like a wall stall kind of a thing, still more than control. But you can have canceling effects and blocking as like a control deck. You can factor it in. So completely blocking an attack is probably more analogous to a counter spell from Magic the Gathering. But at the same time, I think that control decks really need to prevent you from doing things, not just specifically reacting to what you do. Which, again, preventing damage counts. It's just, if Momo is only blocking and letting you get all of your enhances off and play all the cards in your hand, she's just blocking you. I don't see that as control. She's not controlling what you do. She's not controlling what you have in play, like Apathetic or Seizing the Advantage would. She's not controlling what you have access to, like Irrefutable or Night Watch does. She's just letting you play all your cards uselessly, which is what a wall deck does. And again, very loose definition. All deck archetypes take a little bit from somewhere, so you can't have. It's hard to, in a vacuum for any card game, just strictly say this is only a control piece, right? And again, control and wall are like on the same side of the axis, like they're right next to each other. So that's how I feel. But let's get back into the comments. I want to kind of power through this a bit, and then maybe play some viewer games. Maybe I'll play Duelist 2. Duelist 2 has been my recent game of obsession. The beta just came out. I've been having a ton of fun. But let's talk about a little bit more of these comments here. So I didn't mean to expand that, but Joe Tennell says, left out Ty's House of Cards, which is an exceptional and essential place for new players. This comment just kind of misses the mark. Richard wasn't trying to... it might be from Kibler, yeah. That is how you spell Duelist. It's basically Hearthstone Tactics. I'll show you guys in a minute. I'm excited to play it, actually. I think I'm going to play it, but so Joe talks about Ty's House of Cards, which is awesome. Love Ty. Awesome human being. Great channel. Tons of subscribers because he had a How to Play video, right? But like, how often does Ty upload? Like, Richard was just trying to narrow down the conversation to get, whoa, what the fuck? Oh, this is my Steam. Huh. But he's just trying to narrow down the conversation. So, how have you not heard of this pillar? Like, he's heard of him. He's just, you know, people mentioning Satonis, it's Tim Keefe, Shane Duckworth. Like, a bunch of people were just naming their favorite content creators as if they don't exist. Richard was just he just used examples from our 3 channels. Like, that's it. Like, and also, these people specifically don't upload very often. Like, you know, like 3 videos a month is more than me. We should be careful. We should be careful. I didn't know he was making that many. You know, but like, someone mentioned Top Deck Heroes, and Richard was like, I searched for Top Deck Heroes and couldn't find them. You know, if you go to Ty's House of Cards, his most recent video was a month ago. He's got like 4 videos from a month ago, and then he did a lot like around Pasadena. You know, he did like a bunch of stuff around Pasadena, but it's all like box openings, right? It's like one gameplay video, and then it's like travel vlog. So it's good stuff. I'm not saying it's not good stuff at all, but it's just like, it's all over the place. It suffers from the exact same criticisms that he's talking about. So this just proves people didn't read past the first sentence, like past the first paragraph. You know, it's, you know, it's not a critique of his channel or the content he produces. Also, it's the holidays, and the man has a family, so leave him alone. Leave Ty alone. So, you know, people are posting Tim Keefe, who I think uploaded like once a month, and now he's doing a little more regular. Shane Duckworth, you know, he's like, when he makes videos, but it's so infrequent, right? Like, and then here's my comment, which is, I don't do deck profiles unless they're results-based, because deck building is incredibly personal, and there's few good metrics beyond I like/dislike this card in this deck. There's very little established information compared to all the baby games, I fucking said it, that spoon feed you archetypes and deck building. And even then, all my deck profiles still end up an hour long and not very digestible. So, like, it's the kind of thing where I should try. I wonder if I could convince Shane to just do deck profiles on my channel. If I could just steal that content. Yeah, Shane definitely has like the formula. I don't know how he does it, but he definitely just has it set up right. He has the formula down for sure. But so that's my answer to a lot of this stuff is like, how the fuck am I going to do a deck profile on a character I don't play? You know? Oh, hey Chamber, what's up? We're going over the post, you know, kind of dispel some myths about people and trying to address some of the comments that I think don't really understand the post. And we just got to my response where it's like, this Ochako 2 profile I did on my channel, it is a deck I played 2 games with. It's not... So, like... Where is it? Let me pause it. This deck profile, I'm going to spoil it for you guys. I played 2 games and then ID'd with someone. Like, the Momo player offered me an intentional draw, and I said, fuck yeah. Like, I don't know anything about playing this character. I took it to a locals that turned into a case event, and I ended up technically getting first place, and was like, well, I have an excuse to make a deck profile video, and I have boxes to open, so I'm gonna open the boxes. And you know, like, I had an excuse to make this video. This wasn't like something I wanted to make. This wasn't something that I was like, oh man, I have this sick the Ochako deck, and people that should play the deck. Like, it's just a fucking generic Ochako deck that I had an excuse to like clickbait with fucking boxes. Where is it? Where's my ugly mug? Where's the boxes? There we go. It's just clickbait because I got booster boxes. Like, so was that the match with Jacob? I think so. Wait, no, the match. I don't know which match you're asking about. No blocking. Yeah, the lack of deck profiles is just because there's no good deck profile. Like, I'm gonna do something really bad here. I'm gonna do something really stupid here. This is not fair. So, 1.4K views 6 months ago from the Las Vegas Provisionals deck profile. It's the first thing that comes up when you MHA CCG deck profile, right? It is a side event provisional winner for Deku 2. That means this is results based. This is from a channel I've literally actually never heard of. I actually have never heard of the dudes. Oh, Kevin Castillo. Okay, I've heard of Kevin Castillo. I have seen the name around. I've never seen this channel promoted anywhere. But I have seen Kevin Castillo on some lists here. So, like, this is a very typical deck profile style. It's results based, so the deck can't be bad, right? But it was Las Vegas Provisionals number 2. So it was a side event. This deck won a side event. And, like, does he have the deck list in the... So, number 1 sin, if you don't post a deck list in the thing, like, I don't know what's wrong with you. You gotta post the UVS Ultra League. So, like, already I can see cards that, like, I'm not playing main board, right? Like, already I can see cards that, you know, aren't wrong. I'm not saying they're wrong. It's just, like, I heavily disagree with certain counts here. Only 3 new training method? Absolutely wild. Like, okay, this is a mistake. I'll just say that. Like, to have a concrete opinion, right? Not to start any beef with anybody. Again, results-based, he won. Like, it can't be wrong. But 3 new training method, that's just wrong to me. That's just very wrong. That seems not correct. And maybe he knows better than me because he actually plays this deck. You know, 3 enemies necessary is okay, but 4 seems fine for a character that discards for cost. 4 celebrity status seems like a lot. Like, you know, it's just the kind of thing where it's so easy to go through and, like, in any other card game, I cannot nitpick a deck profile like that. Like, in any other card game, I can nitpick maybe 1 card, you know? Tam's got a deck profile from 4 months ago that got 700 views. I don't know if he still does this style of deck profile, but I think for Rampage, Crimson Rampage, he was trying to do a deck profile for everybody. For every single character, you know? Shane got is second on here, but has, like, way less views than the others, right? Yeah, so, like, but that's the thing, is, like, behind a paywall gives him a reason to do it. So, whoa, super out of focus. So here's the All Might 3 deck profile that he won the provisional with. We have the UVS Ultra link, so I can just click here, right? And, like, this is just such a solid list of someone who has played the fuck out of this character, and it's got, like, crazy ratios, you know what I mean? And, like, if I picked up this deck right now and played it, I would change at least 5 cards in it, I guarantee it. Just from looking at this list, I know I'm 4 copies of Destin. I know in my heart of hearts that 4 copies of Destin for mainstream success is the fucking correct call. That's just me personally, you know? Obviously, Chris Smith has played way more All Might 3 than me, but, like, as a player, I'm running different stuff, you know? Taiyaki Fanatics not a card I'm high on at all, but it beat my ass last time I played against it. 3 new training method again, that has to be wrong. It has to be wrong. I just, in my balls, it feels so wrong. You know what I mean? Like, it's little stuff like that where I know that someone watching my deck profile is going to do that to me. And if it's, and these are established decks that people practiced and took to events and got results with. Whereas if you drop down to your second place, you know, Levi got Daryl Maniego with their Water Asui deck profile, you know. Still didn't break 1,000 views. Got second place at that same event. And no one cares about Water Asui profile. So, like, these things exist. But it's more searchability. I don't think it's so much that they don't exist at all. It's that finding it is tough. So like the people are putting it out there. It's just, what are you gonna get? Like True Champ Steven got 20,000 fucking views for One Piece starter decks. That's insane. That's actually insane. Here's your budget list. Wait, where did it go? Did I scroll over it? Oh, here it is. Yeah. Let's make fun of this deck profile real quick. Can we see? Okay, 4 Hellflame Stomp. I'm here for that. I'm here for the Frosted Hair too. Okay, extend. We're playing Kicks Endeavor. So far, so good. 3 Recipro Bursts. That's one too many, but okay. 20,000 views. No, it didn't. I'm sorry, Levi, but no, it didn't. 2,000 maybe. 20,000? No way. 4 Ignited Arrow. 2 Detonation Launcher. Okay, alright. We don't have a lot of high attacks before this, so I don't get this inclusion. Show me a high attack. Big budget list. Okay, but where's the high attack for Detonation Launcher? Go for the win. Did I miss an attack? I had to have missed an attack. Why are you playing Detonation Launcher with only low attacks? Ty had 10k. I remember he got a bunch. I thought he was at 9. So I remember looking months ago, I thought he was at 9k for his how to play video. But that's not even how to play. That was just True Champ Steven talking about the starter decks. That was just him talking like, which starter deck should you play? Oh, there's a Prominence Burn. Okay, I missed a Prominence Burn. But like, this stuff exists. It's just the only reason I'm even able to find it is because my algorithm is so jam-packed with MHA stuff already. So I'm reminded that, so let's talk about this comment real quick. I'm reminded that there's a channel that an MTG judge talks about weird rules, interactions, and questions. I actually came across that channel randomly the other day, which is super funny, like just last night actually. Something like that from a mid to high level judge may be useful. We don't really have mid to high level judges. We have maybe 1 or 2. We have some people who kind of know the rules, and we have Nilmerg, and that's it. And like, we haven't been around long enough to really have a high level judge. And here's the issue. I commented, every time I've made this content, they change the fucking rules, invalidating the video I made. So I stopped doing it after the second time it happened. I'm not going to get a 3rd strike for having a fucking wasted video. Yeah, we did Bandai just has their own player base. Every Bandai player knows when another Bandai game comes out. Like, that's just how it goes. It sucks, man. Like, I'm interested to see what would happen if Bandai actually like bought the game in the system, but if Nilmerg made a rules channel with short clips on obscure rulings, every single aspiring judge would eat up every video like hotcakes. Unfortunately, that might not even be 100 people. Unfortunately, Nilmerg already did that on live streams, didn't get like a ton of viewership, and again, they changed the fucking rules, which makes like stuff that you want to go over really weird, you know? And classifications of effects are really tough to kind of break down because we don't know what effects are which. We still don't know. Where's this fucking card? I'm getting so distracted. I was supposed to wrap this up, and I'm actually recording this for YouTube. But Sports Festival Champion, where is it? Is it Sports? Yeah, Sports Festival Champ. All right, you tell me, chat. All the chatters right now, who you guys want this? You want rules? You want a rules video? And you think, well, Sam, I don't know the rules. That's why I need the. No, this is the issue. No one knows this fucking answer. Is this an assigned effect? And does it change if it gains throw? Enhance commit, discard one card. The damage of this non-throw attack cannot be reduced. A, is it an assigned effect? B, if it gains throw later, does it... if it gains throw later, can you now reduce the damage? Like, I would love to do this kind of a video. Yeah, see, the first comment is, what the fuck is an assigned effect? An assigned effect is an effect that is added to a card that stays for the rest of the turn. So, like, Crow and Frog is an assigned effect, right? So, man, this is peak stream content, right? And assigned effects are one of the three effect states. An effect state dictates how it behaves if related cards move or change. See effect states. So already in the first paragraph, I have to go to another paragraph to get this part of the rules. So any non-static effect that is specific to a particular card is an assigned effect. So this is to a particular card, right? And assigned effects end when they finish executing or can no longer do so. A point specified by the effect is reached. The turn ends, or the card the effect is assigned to changes zones. So it's the kind of thing where the example given says choose one rival foundation, but this doesn't have you choose something. It just says this attack, right? So isn't it an assigned effect? So then you've got this issue where people still argue about this one, and it's been forever. We have this card, Crow and Frog, and we have this card, I think it's Whiplash? Where is it? Yeah, Binding Cloth Whiplash. All right, chat, you tell me. This card does not count towards progressive difficulty for the rest of this turn. If you flip Crow and Frog face down, does it still count towards progressive difficulty, chat? If you do the enhance on Crow and Frog, if you flip it face down, does it count towards progressive difficulty? The chamber says, I believe the face down still doesn't count. That's correct, because it is an assigned effect. And assigned effect that lasts until the end of the turn. And the assigned effect ends when it finishes executing or can no longer do so, but it doesn't execute like that. A point specified by the effect is reached, which is the turn ends, and the turn ends is also that. And then the card effect is assigned to changes zones. Flipping it face down does not change the zones. However, Binding Cloth Whiplash says this attack does not count towards progressive difficulty for the rest of this turn. So, if you turn Binding Cloth Whiplash face down, unlike Crow and Frog, which says this card does not count towards progressive difficulty, does Binding Cloth Whiplash count towards progressive difficulty? If you turn it face down, it's no longer an attack. So this attack does not count towards progressive difficulty for the rest of the turn. Does this count towards progressive if you face shield it? And once it's face down, it's no longer an attack, so it does count towards progressive difficulty. Wrong! That is wrong, because the assigned effect is assigned to a particular card, and it ends when a point specified it is reached. Assigned effects do not end if the card flips or unflips, and it is assigned to a particular card. So when it was assigned, it was an attack, and now it is assigned to the card. And again, that is only my understanding because of talking to Tim Keefe, who helped write the rules almost a fucking decade ago. Like, he helped him overhaul the rules almost a decade ago, and that's his take on it. We, as far as I know, don't have an official answer. To get the official answer, you would have to put this card in a deck, go to an official tournament, and get a judge to officially rule on it, and even then, that only counts until someone else rules on it. I would love to make this content. I just cannot, because every time I ask someone at Jasco to give me the fucking rulings, they give it to me, I send them the video, and they say, yeah, sure, totally, this is all correct, and then they change the fucking rules. And then I feel like I wasted my time, and I get upset at the company for no good fucking reason. You know, I don't have to be upset about that. I would love to make that content. I would, when I first started playing the game back in 2014, 13, whenever it was, I was gonna be the rules guy for my, I was gonna be the Nilmerg of my playgroup. And after a couple years, it just became too much to keep up with, because so much of it is just based on, well, I got this ruling at the last event. You know, oh, this is how it was ruled recently. I made this. I made 5 tips. I made 5 different videos. Look at that. Look at that fucking word art. Look at that shitty quality. Oh, man. Look at that fucking awful quality. Love that. So I made a bunch of stuff. Most of it's true, but the main reason I made this video is because of this playing a card issue. So this was the whole reason I made the video. I sent this to people at Jasco and said, hey, can you confirm that this is correct? See, here's the problem. Here's the problem with this whole thing is people want accurate information. People want to make accurate content. They don't want to just make content for the sake of content. I even included the fucking example. And this was the ruling at the time. And I sent this to Jasco and they said yes. And then this is what? It doesn't say the actual date, but this was like on a Thursday or a Friday before like a webcam provisional or something like that. It was a webcam provisional or regional. And then they changed it the morning of because someone asked in the rules or asked a judge at the event, and the same judge who told me this video is correct changed the ruling, you know? And so someone even commented like a month later on it that said, there's been some discussion on this a while back. If no check was made, this would be considered a repairable state. You'd be issued a warning. In multiple instances would scale. And then, yeah, I'm like, so interesting enough, I made the video after it happened, where the fucking clip that I linked, where they said, reveal is too late to take back. And I asked the head judge before I posted the video. And I changed it. And, you know, I took his feedback, changed to what I needed to change, and then published it. And then that same day, right before the tournament, they asked the provisional judges about it, and that's when they came up with this, as long as it's not been too long, which is, as long as it's not been too long, isn't like a real fucking answer. Like, how are you going to argue? Like, you're going to call a judge and say, my opponent put it on the table for 30 seconds. Like, you know. Yeah, it's fucking annoying. It literally happened the very next day, and I was like, wow, you know how long? This is a 7-minute video with minimal edits. Actual minimal edits. Do you know how long this video took me? Like, it's literally just text and a fucking simple background I made and just importing clips. This took like 11 fucking hours to put together, to make sure I had everything put together correctly, to go get the screenshots, to drag shit in, and then to process the video and actually upload it to YouTube from start to finish with, like, you know, breaks to get up, go to the bathroom and stuff. Like, it took, you know, and I included like a couple other edits, like this Yu-Gi-Oh one, but like this took like 11 hours to get put up, you know, and that's not including, after that 11 hours I sent it to you know, I processed it and stuff. I didn't make it public. Before I made it public, I sent it to Jasco and then got it back later. And like, it's no one's fault. Like, as far as the whole Jasco part of it, like, they're just trying to figure stuff out as they go too. But that's part of the growing pains is, you know, it I don't know, man. What I worry about a lot is new players that look up deck profiles for their favorite character and get like 0 hits or 2 hits from 6 months ago or something. And that was a big piece of where I was coming from. I get where you're coming from, but at the same time, no offense is meant by this at all. You or me or even probably Levi, maybe not Levi, but any of us who aren't Tam or Levi making that video are almost certainly not going to find it by searching YouTube. They're only ever going to find it by posting it in the main My Hero Discord and someone searching through the My Hero Discord. You know? So, You know, on top of all of that, like, I can't just produce whack content with no information. Like, you know, it's like that. Like, you know, I'm not going to get it out to people anyways unless they're already looking for my channel, unless they're already looking in the right places. So you know, just, I agreed with Andrew's comment pretty much 100% here. I even put the little 100 emoji. He went way more depth than just like, I like/dislike this card in my deck. Like, that was my take. And he's right. The casual focus, casuals don't ask for stuff. They don't put it out there. They search for something or they stumble upon it. They're not seeking this stuff out. They stumble upon it 90% of the time. And so the stuff people ask for is like how to improve and how to play this deck and how do I make, you know, my favorite character maybe like the best it is. And that's where the deck docs do their big thing. So, you know, here's basically the three of us, Tam, Levi, and I just kind of agreeing with Andrew on this. And like, it's just how it comes from inside. Like, if there was any sort of incentive to make that kind of content, people would definitely do so. It just, you know, the only incentive is stuff I like, you know. The only real incentive is stuff that your existing community player base already likes. So I 100% welcome any new content, right? Like, I love new content. I'm certainly not saying don't make this content. I'm just saying that if you're an aspiring content creator and you go out and you make that content, I don't know, expect to get like 100, 200 views or something. Like, deck profiles definitely should be made more, but I don't think it's going to, I don't know, elevate the channel. I just don't see too many people looking for that kind of stuff. No one's asking me for that kind of stuff. I'll say right now, anybody who has asked me for a video, I've made that video. Like, if you comment on a YouTube video and you ask for something, chances are that content creator will do it just because someone asked for it, just because you're engaging with them and giving them like a connection, a reason to do it. So that's my basic take. This has definitely gone way longer than I wanted it to, because, like, again, the whole reason I do this is to interact with the chat. The whole reason I personally do this is two main reasons. One is I want to do commentary, and this was like the route to do commentary for me. I love doing the commentary for the game. I think that a lot of people are interested in doing commentary, and it's like in the same vein where I feel like you have to have some level of I don't know, not gating, but probably gating. Like, there has to be some certification, and there's no real good way to like certify people around commentary. But I wanted to do commentary, and then the other thing is just to engage with people in the comments. So let me know down below if you're watching this on YouTube. You know, if you're in the comment section right now, all you have to do is tell me what content you want to see. Ask for very specific things, and you'll probably get it from myself, Levi, or Tam. So anyways, that's going to be this discussion, guys. I'll see you in the next one real soon.